You're listening to RAP Paranormal and Friends with your hosts,
Kim Purvis
and Allison Robinson. Make sure to check us out on our Facebook pages, RAP Paranormal and Friends and RAP Paranormal Busters, for up-to-date show information and events. Hey everyone, welcome to another night of RAP Paranormal and Friends. We are back after a little bit of a break, and we have an awesome guest for you tonight. Was a former journalist and now has a book out, M.R. Gorga. So welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. It's been a long time coming here, but let's go ahead and kind of dive into this. You were a journalist, now you're an author, but this kind of stemmed back from when you were like in elementary school.
Yeah, well,
You had a little
yeah,
interesting story you wrote.
yes, yeah. Well, I've been writing a long, long time, and one of the one of the stories I wrote as a kid. This is how long I've kind of been into this space. The teacher assigned us the class a writing assignment, and so I wrote some story, some horror story about some mummy on a murdering spree or something. And yeah, not quite the subject matter for someone in grade school, like fourth grade or so.
Right.
And so I reluctantly hand in the story, thinking that I'm going to get in trouble. And so I go home, and that night, the teacher calls my parents. And I'm like, oh man, I'm in real trouble. So he calls my parents, but it was funny because it was quite the opposite. He said, your son has a real talent for writing. You need to get him into the Young Authors Club immediately. And so I thought I was going to get in trouble, but instead he actually praised me, and so that's how long I've been writing. In this space, or had an interest in this space, going way back.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of memory as to what possessed you to write about a mummy on a murdering spree?
I don't know. I remember, I think at the time, there was a lot of things happening at one time. I think the Amityville Horror had come out, and they actually filmed like in the town over from where I was at the time in New Jersey. And so there was, and at the same time, I think the son of Sam was running around. So it was like a lot of fear that was kind of like sweeping over the tri-state area at the time. And I guess it maybe just kind of like seeped into me. And I, wrote about some mysterious mummy on a murdering spree. I don't know how many died, though. I'd have to find the story. Nowadays, they probably put me in put me on medication
or something.
Yeah. There's something wrong with your son.
That was actually kind of one of the questions that I had. I was going to ask, do you think growing up during that period had any had any kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm having a brain fart.
Any kind of influence
Influence, yes.
or
Yeah,
impact.
that
Yeah.
was actually my next question as I looked down it on
I
there
think
as you.
so.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to ask it. I think so.
so yeah.
No, I think it actually did in some kind of strange way because, like I said, it was, you can literally feel the air at that time. And especially being a kid, there was just
Mm-hmm.
this tinge of this charge in the air of terror.
Mm-hmm.
And, in the Amityville Horror, I don't know why my parents let me see that movie. It scared the living bejesus out of me. And that pig demon scene, I don't know if you saw the movie, but
Yeah.
there's Jody the pig demon,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just and then my sisters would be like, the pig demon's gonna get you, and
Oh
like,
God.
and
Yeah.
and so it was just the air was just filled with eeriness
Mm-hmm.
and terror and kind of fear. And somehow, I guess it just kind of made its way into my writing and my
Right.
the things I like to write.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, how did you come up with Demons Among Us?
Demons Among Us is actually an answer to a string of nighttime attacks or demonic assaults I was experiencing some time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was getting woken up in the middle of the night, 3 in the morning, or so, and the witching hour,
Mm-hmm.
with invisible steely hands clutching my throat and choking me,
Wow.
trying to choke me half to death, evil whisperings and some kind of demonic language. It kind of felt like it kind of sounded like a swarm of like kind of like angry bees, like
Oh God.
muffled, yeah, like
Yeah.
muffled angry bees.
So,
Like I don't know
yeah.
what they were saying, but I'm
Uh-huh.
imagine it was nothing good.
Right.
And bitings and scratchings and things of that nature. And so the last thing these beings or entities want is to have the light shed upon them. And
Mm-hmm.
so I said, okay, you're going to attack me, you're going to hit me, I'm going to hit back. And so Demons Among Us it's actually the answer to those string of nighttime attacks that made me mad enough to actually write a book
Write a
about
book
it.
about it. Yes. Now, do you still have any of these attacks to this day?
Yeah, but they vary in intensity.
Mm-hmm.
And so the ones that made it into the book are the ones that really kind of bring the wow, the holy crap factor.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
bring the really brings the creep factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
and but yeah, they happen in various forms and in various things, and I'll still get woken up in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's some kind of like yell, or sometimes it's sometimes you can feel something on your leg or on your or even like hear something.
Mm-hmm.
um it was funny, it was just yesterday. It was really weird. I was kind of in that quasi dream state
Mm-hmm.
between waking and sleeping.
Right.
And my father had passed away almost 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he would come in. When he would come in, he would come in through the garage door, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a garage door from the kitchen into the garage.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be the door we would come into, and I heard the click of the door,
Mm-hmm.
and I perked up, and I'm like, what the hell? And then I heard like footsteps coming down, and I don't know if I was waking or sleeping,
You're
to be
right.
honest
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
And I see my father walking down the hall,
Uh-huh.
and I say, "What are you doing here?" And he says, "Oh, I just kind of forgot that." And then it just ended. It was like a really weird
Good. Yeah.
weird thing where I was like,
Uh-huh.
I heard the
Yeah.
click of that door,
Door.
and
Right.
I heard those the footsteps, and I saw the form of my father. So
Yeah.
um, I say that to say that sometimes these appearances are not always these demons take different shapes. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I in no means really thought it was my actual father.
Yeah. um. Now, when was your first encounter? Were you fairly young when you had your first encounter, or? did that start as you got older?
I had two first encounters, if you could believe
Oh,
that.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk about one as a kid, and then I'll talk
Sure.
about one as an adult.
Okay, sure.
At the time, like I had said before, this is when we were living in New Jersey, and as a kid, my sisters and I, we were playing in the downstairs. There's a two-story house, so we were
Mhm.
playing in the downstairs, and at the downstairs we had a laundry room downstairs, and
Mhm.
so my sisters are playing it like in front of the door, and then all of a sudden, this large white hand comes out of the room
Mhm.
and tries to, you know, grab my sister's big white ghostly hand,
Oh my
and
gosh. Mhm.
yeah, and so my sisters they start screaming bloody murder and start running up the steps, and I'm sitting there on the steps like, like wow, what's going on?
Right.
And my parents come down, and of course they don't see anything. They just think they're kids and they're being crazy. But
Right.
it's one of those stories that was had such an impact. We could be around, and it still get brought up today.
Oh wow.
Like
Uh-huh.
hey, remember the hand? You
Yeah.
know,
Oh my
you know.
gosh, yeah.
And so yeah, I don't think that would be a fake thing if we're still talking
Talking
about
about
it,
it. Right.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then as an adult is the first time I encountered demonic spirits was let me just say, like, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. So
Mhm.
the day that I became a follower was the day that I heard the voice of evil. And it was one of the very first times I actually just, tried to pray.
Mhm.
I know nothing about it. I don't know how to do it. I don't know, no one around me is really any kind of belief. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm fresh off the boat. I'm right off the
Right.
banana boat.
Yeah.
Right? So it's day one
Yeah.
of being a believer in God
Uh-huh.
and in Jesus, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I get on my knees. I don't know. So I'm like, all right, I get on my knees and I'm
Mhm.
starting to pray. And all of a sudden I
Mhm.
sense this presence come into the room.
Mhm.
It's dark
Mhm.
and it's creepy, and it comes up right behind my right ear. And I kind of scrunched my ear. I scrunched my shoulder
Uh-huh.
to my ear, because just to kind of shirk it away. And then all of a sudden, I heard a voice speak, and it said, "You may have gone to God, but you belong to me. You will
Oh.
always be mine. I'm never going to let you go."
Wow.
And and people in Hollywood like to portray these kinds of things with this rough, gravelly
Uh-huh.
voices, like
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
it was it was the exact opposite. It was smooth,
Mhm.
baritone, silvery, even like a princely authority to it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And very smooth, very smooth and subtle. But underneath that smooth silvery tone, you can sense this cunning evil
Mhm.
just below the surface of those words.
Yeah.
And it was, and that was my first adult experience with a paranormal or demonic entity.
Oh wow. Okay. Now, with your um now with these demons, have you ever experienced any kind of possession?
Not of myself.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sure I've had plenty of demons. I don't think I was ever bodily possessed.
Does-
But there's a difference between, there's a lot of there's a lot of stages an individual has to go through in order to be possessed.
Possessed. Mhm.
Possession just doesn't happen immediately. There's
Mhm.
has to be, first of all, like an opening or an entryway,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And then there's harassment, there's oppression,
Mhm.
and so when that's like when you'll be oppressed by a specific spirit or
Mhm.
number of spirits that are literally like destroying your life, whether through spirits of fear, anxiety, depression, those things, types of things people don't really know about,
Mhm.
but these are uh, works of the spirit. So they're spiritual entities, and so they can take a hold of your life and actually oppress your life.
Mhm.
And so, but the final stage is, when it enters into an individual bodily, which hasn't happened to me. So
Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
Now, now, have you ever taken part in helping somebody that's possessed? Have you ever?
N- Uh, no, I've never aided in a possession. Like some shows call me like a demonologist, or
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
but it's not. I'm somebody who I've had a lot of experience with demonic powers,
Mm-hmm.
demonic assaults, and things of that nature. I don't
Mm-hmm.
consider myself a demonologist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, I'm just somebody who kind of is just blowing the lid off of this whole demonic realm,
Mm-hmm.
having had these experiences, and so
Is
that's yeah.
right.
But no, I haven't aided in any a demonic possession.
Possessions or anything
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah.
And also in your book, you talk about possessions dating back to like the 1600s, and I found
Yes,
uh, that part about Elizabeth Knapp very interesting because I had not read that before.
yeah. Well, and that's why I put it in the book because it
Mm-hmm.
was it was absolutely horrifying and
Mm-hmm.
absolutely enthralling at the same time. And it was a little known story
Mm-hmm.
that it deserved to be told, and deserved to be told in the manner in which I wrote it. And
Mm-hmm.
that chapter actually took me the longest because uh, I had to do the level of research needed to kind of bring the culture, the society around the people, the mindset, the thinking, the belief system,
Mm-hmm.
and the environment in which this whole thing took place.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to. My research actually took me to the actual places where this had happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I went so far as to obtaining some of these parchments, which were written on fragile yellow
Right.
parchment paper with black flowing script, like 350 years old. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so we talk about the research process. I really did
Yeah.
the as deep and dark as you can go to
Mm-hmm.
really, kind of understand who these people were because they were
Mm-hmm.
real people.
Right.
and but just to tell your audience what the story is about a minister by the name of Samuel Willard, and his takes place between him and his 16-year-old maid or maid servant,
Mm-hmm.
who was a live-in maid for some time, and she starts to exhibit some strange signs that he had find very questionable,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just kind of like observing for 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks, he takes to his journal and he gives a blow by blow of what's happening day after day after day,
Mm-hmm.
to which he called atrocities that had befallen upon her.
Mm-hmm.
And because of this, it became the first fully documented eyewitness account of demonic possession in American history,
Mm-hmm.
because he gave a blow by blow with specific dates and and all that time how long certain things were happening.
Right.
You know, he
Mm-hmm.
talks about some horrifying episodes where she's, you know, screaming, howling through the house, and just wrecking the place. And she's got superhuman strength. She can't be held down by anybody.
Right.
Tries to throw herself in the fire. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
she's, so and
Yeah.
she tries. And there's a scene where she tries to actually kill Samuel Willen in his sleep
Mm-hmm.
himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, the story is absolutely hair raising, and I had to put it in the book. It deserved to be a part of the book.
Right. Yeah. And I really did thoroughly enjoy reading about that in the book. And another thing that kind of caught me is that there was a part where maybe they weren't sure if she was actually really hung or if she got married because wasn't there confusion about maybe there was possibly two Elizabeths?
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
there were two Elizabeth Knapps in the colony, and one was her cousin,
Mm-hmm.
and they were a couple years apart. But there's what I found in my research. There's a document,
Mm-hmm.
um, and because the Puritans at the time, they were very very meticulous about their record keeping and everything, and so
Mm-hmm.
um, it was talks about, I want to say if it might have been a vital record,
Mm-hmm.
and next to where it says Elizabeth Knapp in the vital record,
Mm-hmm.
there's a scrawl there,
Mm-hmm.
and it says, "This was the one who was possessed or
Hmm.
bewitched." Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
And so there was some confusion as to who she married, whether it
Created.
was, yeah, whether it was, God, what was his name?
I I can't remember off the top of my head
I
either.
know
I don't
it's,
have
I
the book in
know.
front of
I
me.
wrote the book.
I
I
know,
wrote the
but
book. I should know this. But but yeah, so there's some
created.
confusion as to who she married and what happened to her. So she's, as mysterious as the situation was the end of Elizabeth Knapp was as just as mysterious,
Just right, yeah. Which yeah, that that
which
was
is
very
fitting.
interesting. Yes, it was. It was very fitting. Now, do you believe that there's demons that actually walk among us? Like they're around and they probably create havoc on our everyday lives and we just don't know it?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have written the book if I didn't
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah.
And that's aside from telling some really scary stories, which, personal and historic stories, which the
Hmm.
book, I believe, does really, really well.
Hmm.
I also wrote it to open the eyes of people to the demonic happenings and workings and spiritual workings of the unseen world that are going on all around us without even knowing it, or
Hmm.
knowing you might be influenced by it.
Hmm.
And so when we talk about what these demons are, is they're actually fallen spirits. They're fallen angel spirits, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's not they could be recognized. Sorry about that. My
You're okay.
computer's going crazy.
You're okay.
So they could be recognized best by what they do, or their form, or their function. And as I said earlier, there's various spirits, like spirits of fear. So you could be under, the harassment or the influence of a spirit of fear if you're a very, very fearful person.
Hmm.
Spirits of depression, spirits of anxiety and greed, and all types of spirits, spirits of suicide,
Hmm.
spirits of pharmacoi, where we get our word pharmacy and pharmaceutical from,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
um, spirits of pornea, where we get our word porno and pornography from,
Hmm.
lust. And so many, many spirits operating, people don't recognize that these influences have a spiritual component or dimension to these things, and they're operating and functioning in and all around us. And these things kind of, work their way into our lives.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of negativity out in the world, and I could see where that kind of stuff influences everyday lives of people, but they may just not realize it. A lot of people aren't in tune with those things.
Well, I mean, I think because what happens is you just kind of like live under these things for so long,
Hmm.
you just think it's part of your behavior, or it's part of your likes, or if it's part of these are just my likings, or preferences, right? And
Hmm.
not really understanding the spiritual dimension to it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, and becomes like it becomes normal and natural, and
Right.
but not knowing there's a spirit of evil behind it.
Right. Right. Do you have any plans of writing any more books, or do you along the lines of demons, or any other areas that you want to maybe pursue or that you are pursuing?
Well, people keep asking me if I'm going to write Demons Among Us too,
Yes.
and I say, "What do you think? I'm a glutton for punishment?" Because that would mean have to
Deal with
go
this
through more
more, yeah.
demonic attacks to, and I
Yeah.
said, who wants that?
You're right.
So, but no, honestly though, I am working on other books. So I have some fiction books in the work, and I have a screenplay that I'm actually shopping, and
Uh-huh.
it stemmed from all of the research that I did for chapter two,
Oh, yeah.
because you go down some very very dark rabbit
Rabbit
holes when
holes.
you're when you're researching like
Oh, I'm sure.
uh, demons and witchcraft and all that stuff, and you come across some really really intense stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote this screenplay. It's about a witch trial that takes place about 1655,
Mm-hmm.
and there's actual there's actual case trial stuff in them,
Mm-hmm.
which I've found in various case trials from around the world and
Right.
here,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, and uh, and so it's one of the probably the most realistic and horrifying witch tales that you'll find. And I'm not just saying that because I'm its author.
Sounds right.
I'm like I'm writing some of this stuff. I'm like, oh my god, what is going on here? And so I'm shopping it right now. I'm actually looking for producers or agents to kind of
Yeah.
to get on board.
Word. Uh-huh.
So I'm just going to put that out there. If there's
Sure.
anyone out there
Sure.
wants to get on board with a number one best-selling author's script, feel
Yes.
free to reach out. I'm looking to get this thing out there.
That would be awesome. So you said that you have done research then on witchcraft and witch trials.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
are you? Extensive. Uh huh.
extensively, about as extensively as I did for chapter two and Demons Among Us,
Mm-hmm.
because they kind of went hand in hand
Mm-hmm.
because um, what the minister was trying to do in chapter two was to try to discover if she was a witch,
Right.
but he was trying at the same time to conceal it because he knew if she was named a witch, she would die, and if she was named a witch wrongly,
Mm-hmm.
her reputation would have been soiled for ruined forever.
Mm-hmm.
Because back at that time, to be named a witch,
Mm-hmm.
that was the most abominable thing that could be attached to a person. It would be our racist today, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, to be labeled as a witch, it was better to be named a murderer at that time than a witch.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah, and that was an actual quote. That's how I know.
So what are some other interests that you have kind of that may connect to all of this? Do you have
Can
anything
you
or
can you
anything
elaborate?
that you want to research more about?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I don't know. I have this real weird fascination with like the witch stuff and
Hmm.
oh yeah, like um, Indian lore.
Oh, yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
really like Native American Indian lore
Hmm.
and things of that nature. I don't think they've gotten enough. Uh, they have some very very strange stuff,
Hmm.
and so I'm fascinated by that,
Hmm.
and so I have things that I'm working on with that,
Very cool.
and what else? I just write about strange and otherworldly things, whether they be good, whether they be evil. I'd like to write stuff like about angels
Right.
at some
Yeah.
point, and I'm
Hmm.
not talking babies with wings.
Thanks. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm talking like a warring culture because this is what people have a misconception of what real angels are.
Hmm.
And when people see them, they fall down as if they're dead because they literally they just lose themselves. It's such a fearful and dreadful sight that people just they fall down as dead.
Hmm.
And then they got to say don't fear because they're in such quaking fear,
Right.
right? So
Hmm.
this is a different portrait of like you know the beautiful female angel with the wings
Wait.
or the
Yeah.
baby angels with the
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, so I'd like to at some point you know delve into that area as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Very nice. Very nice. questions. We've kind of just been going right on through them, and you answer a lot of them before I even ask them.
Oh, I'm
You're just
clairvoyant,
so
I
good.
guess.
You are. Let me check and see if there's any questions. If anybody has any questions that are listening, feel free to join us in our chat and ask them, and we will get them answered for you. Because we have a couple people in there, so I'm just like to
Yeah.
see. Some of them are kind of shy and quiet and don't really say anything, but
Well, I love the audience questions.
yes,
It always adds like keeps me on my toes,
toes. That's
and it
right.
adds a whole interesting, you never know where it's going to go with the questions. That's what I like about them.
Yep, yep. Let's see. Well, I'm not sure. Darren's asking, maybe he's asking how you would be able to write, or if you would be able to write an experiment book of paranormal stuff. I'm trying to figure out how he's wording this.
I don't.
Maybe experiments that you could do if you're wanting to get in touch with the paranormal. Maybe that's what he's trying to say.
Okay, well, I don't kind of write in that manner. In fact, what I do is I urge people actually not to tamper with the things of the paranormal because the
Uh-huh.
things of the paranormal
Mm-hmm.
are very occultish in nature, and those things, when you're talking about um, tarot and witchcraft and Ouija
Uh-huh.
and all of those things, they kind of and spiritism and fortune telling and those things,
Mm-hmm.
all those things are actually open, give openings to demonic influence in your life because those are doorways.
Uh-huh.
Those are the doorways to the demonic. At first, it might not seem like any big thing, but the more you keep doing it, the more you keep inviting,
Mm-hmm.
and before you know it, you're under a demonic harassment.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to try to get rid of these things, they would say something to the effect, "Well, I was invited. This one's mine."
Mm-hmm.
And they look at that
Mm-hmm.
as an actual invitation. Like
Uh-huh.
now, no one said, "Hey, demon, come into my life,"
Right, yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
but but these things look at if you open that door,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's almost like a vampire, right? You got to open the door, and then and they look at that as the invitation into one's life.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing when it comes to um, ghosts and hauntings and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
It is my belief that what we see as ghosts are actually demons in disguise. So I actually speak against tampering with the
Uh-huh.
demonic because it would not have any good effect on your life.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. Demons wouldn't, no. That's for sure. Let's see here. Just seeing any other questions in the chat
Nope, I think that was the only one right now.
as of right now. Yep. Chat's a little delayed, so he may pop up with another one, but where can we find your book? On Amazon.
You can find it on Amazon. It's available in print and Kindle versions. Right now, the Kindle version is $1.99, and running that promo through Christmas. And the book, the print version, is marked down from 17 to 1367.
Okay. Well, nice.
So it's will be quite affordable and make a
Right.
great gift for someone who loves the uh, dark side.
Right.
The
Yes.
dark side of things
Yep.
would make the perfect Christmas gift.
Yep. Yes, it would. It's a very good book. I did thoroughly enjoy reading it. Now,
Thank you.
is there anywhere else? Do you have a website that people can, if they want to see what you're up to, or if you have a website where they can purchase your book, or
Yeah, right now I don't have a website. I'm on social though, so you
yeah.
can reach out to me on Instagram at m.r.gorga and on Facebook at mrgorga, and you can always see what I'm up to there.
There. Uh huh.
I'm in the process of finishing up an audiobook. Uh, I decided to read it myself because I thought it would be more authentic for
Right.
my readers and my audience,
Uh-huh.
to have the author himself read it. So
It's
I'm
yeah.
just kind of finishing up that
That
never-ending process.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, do you do any kind of YouTube, or have you thought about doing that and putting out like some kind of like little clips or anything about your thoughts on demons or anything like that?
Yeah, well, it's funny because like all that stuff, it looks so easy, but it's very, very time consuming. And
Right. Yeah.
I found that you can't do everything at once.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
And so I focus my energies on what I'm great at, and that is writing and telling stories.
Stories. Yes.
And when it comes down to video work, I'm up for collaborations. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I have a hard time with technology, as you know.
I'm really good at telling other people what to do, like what, like video wise. I
That's
always
great.
know like what I want,
Right.
but I need somebody else to actually cut and edit and stuff because
Uh-huh.
like I honestly don't have the patience for that, like technically, and I've always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, yeah, let's let somebody else who's good at cutting and editing.
Uh-huh.
I'll create it. I'll set up the camera. I'll shoot. I'll do all that stuff. I know what I want
Right.
always.
Right.
But I need people or teams of people to execute some of the things I have in mind. It's
Yeah.
it's hard to be a one man show.
So, yep. Yes. Yes. Yeah, that would it is. Yeah. I can't do video editing and stuff to save my life.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it looks so easy sometimes. It's
I
like,
know.
you just shoot a video and you
And
put
yeah.
it up on YouTube, and it's like, well, crap, I got to fade and I got to put in music, and I
Yeah.
can't get the fade right, and this
Right.
cut's not right, and
Yeah.
before you know it, I'm pulling my hair out of my head,
Yep.
and I've lost hours on when I could have been working on, shaping out another, another story of sorts.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I hear you
Yeah,
100%.
but I
Yep.
would love to do it. Anyone's up for collaboration, I'm
Collaboration.
open.
There you go. Any of our tech savvy gurus that are
Yeah.
listening, if you'd like to help him do some videos, reach out to him on
Yeah.
Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, definitely not opposed to it. It's just that
Yes.
it just comes down to a
Right.
time thing and wanting to keep my sanity thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I don't actually honestly probably have the patience to do that. So,
hmm It's funny. Like Gary Vaynerchuk is.
no. Mm-mm.
Okay, well he's a business guy, right? And
Okay.
he owns VaynerMedia, and he video shoots like everything, and he's
Yeah.
like, content,
That,
content. You got to keep.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, you have millions of dollars to just keep paying people to film you and cut your video
Videos. Right.
all day long.
Yeah, the rest of us don't have that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, people
agree.
like I
Yeah,
said.
content. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
if I had the manpower behind me too, yeah.
Terrence says he knows who you're talking about and he's an ass.
He's not for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me. All right. Okay, well, I think I don't see any other questions right now. So if I do have anything, I will either email you or I'll send them your way so that way you can answer the questions.
Sure.
But thank you everybody who was in chat. Thank you for everybody who was listening but not in chat. We appreciate each and every one of you. I'd like to thank our special guest tonight, Mr. Gorga, for being on and talking about his book Demons Among Us. Make sure you go get it. It's on Amazon. The Kindle one is $1.99 right now, right through Christmas, and then the actual paperback is $13.67.
It's 1367, I believe.
Yep.
And it is a #1 bestseller. And it's been praised by the likes of George Norrie and other guys in the field as well. So you're really in for a treat if you get the book.
Yes, it is a very good book. I have read it, so I highly recommend it. And make sure you go follow Mr. Gorga on Instagram and Facebook. And the Instagram one is m.r.gorga, right?
Correct.
And then it's Mr. Gorga on Facebook.
That's right. Yes.
All right, perfect. So make sure you guys go check him out, and thank you everybody, and thank you once again for being on. And also make sure to check us out tomorrow night. We will be on Shay's Paranormal Chat, and next week we have Nick Simmons on from 28 Days Haunted. So thank you for once again for being on, and thank you everybody. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.